Hi, today I want to talk to you about dehydrating pears. They're really simple to do and they are really a tasty snack. I recently purchased these red pears at the grocery store because frankly they were kind of pretty and I knew I liked pears. But after about 4 or 5 days, they really are not ripening. They're still very, very firm. Last night when I was checking them, I noticed this one had a small spot in it, and this morning that spot is bigger. I know if I leave this pear, this spot is just going to continue to rot and I'm going to have a wasted piece of fruit. I also know if I cut the spot off and then try and let the fruit sit and ripen, it's going to get moldy and that won't work. So I've decided to dehydrate both of these pears. So I washed them after I brought them back from the grocery store. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this bad spot. And I'm going to cut that off at an angle because I don't know how deep it is. And it was fairly deep. You can see the brown spot. So I'm going to get rid of that. And there's just a little bit more of that. So I'm going to cut that off as well. And then I have my pear. Now there's two ways to prepare your pears. You can either do them in slices this way so that you have the core in the middle, or you can quarter them much like you would an apple. I'm actually going to do a little bit of both today. What I'm going to do is take the one that I cut off, and I have a coring tool that I like to use, and I'm just simply going to insert that down the middle of the pear. You can see the stem, and if I was working from the pear whole, I would use the stem right up on top. And I'm just going to insert that right down into the pear, give it a little bit of a twist, and I have everything taken care of. I missed just a little bit of that stem on the bottom, so I cut that off. So basically I have a pear with a hole in it. Then I'm going to take and slice that. Now I like to either use a mandolin to slice mine or an apple slicing tool, which I'll demonstrate in a minute, simply because then I'm getting even slices. You could absolutely use a knife. There's nothing wrong with using a knife. The only disadvantage to that is that your pieces are not going to be 100% equal, and it might affect your drying time on some pieces, but that's not really a big deal. So you just use what you have available and what's comfortable. I have a mandolin. I also have a safety glove, which just keeps me from getting cut. And I know that I can just go ahead and slice this very, very quickly, and it's done, and I have nice even slices. I think when you have fruit that's going bad, dehydrating it is a great way to save it. So what you can see is that I have my individual slices, and they're all nice and even, and I'm simply going to take my tray to dehydrate fruit, really almost any kind of fruit. You want to slice it or prepare it and put it on your tray. Now lots of people will take and dip these slices in lemon juice. So basically cover them in water, put a couple tablespoons of lemon juice in there, and what that does is it keeps them from getting brown. I don't worry about that so much because sometimes they're going to get a little bit brown anyway, and that really is just a caramelization, if you will, of the sugars that are involved. I don't think that that's a big deal. If you prefer something to stay more white, like an apple or a pear or even a banana, then go ahead and soak them in a lemon juice is a good way to do that. Basically a couple cups of water, a teaspoon or two of lemon juice, and let them soak while you're preparing, and then just shake them off. The water that's on the fruit is going to dehydrate, so as long as they're not dripping, that's not a problem. The coring tool that I have, basically I can just lift that open much like a clothespin, take it off, and I'm good to go. I'll have a link below this video for the coring tool and the other tool that I'm going to use. So the first way I prepared my pears basically is by using slices. I left the skin on. You can take the skin off if you like. I like the skin on. The skin does not get tough. With this other piece of fruit, I'm actually going to use an apple cutter, if you will. I like this particular one because it has 16 slices instead of the traditional 8. And I think when you have these slices just a little bit thinner rather than thicker, it works a little bit better in terms of dehydrating time. So again, I'm just going to take the center core and I'm going to place that in the center of the pear here. And because the pear is shaped in such a way that the stem isn't necessarily on top, I'm just going to push it down on the top of the pear like so, even though it's not exactly perpendicular to the top, if that makes any sense. And then really I just have to push down on this, and what I have is all of my slicing done. And on this particular unit, I have a bottom that just sort of snaps in. I can snap that in and my slices pretty much come out. Again, I have a core here that I can use if you wanted to, but I don't. The pieces are individually done here with the pear, like so. They're the same thickness. The size of the slices are going to vary a little bit simply because the pear is not always a perfectly symmetrical piece of fruit. So I have, for example, a bigger slice and a smaller slice, but what's important here is that the thickness of them are the same. This one is going to take just slightly longer to dehydrate, and that's okay. So what I'm going to do with the fruit, and most fruit, but the pears in particular, I'm going to put them in my dehydrator. I'm going to dehydrate them for however long it takes to be done. It'll be at 135 degrees. When pears are done, they should be leathery. When you squeeze them, they shouldn't really be sticky. They shouldn't be, there shouldn't be any moisture or water coming from them. As with any fruit, when you get done, and it'll take, I would say that the rings will probably take between 8 and 10 hours. The wedges, which are a little bit thicker, are probably going to take somewhere between 12 and 15 hours. When it's done, you want to put them in a jar and let them be in that jar for 4 to 7 days, or some kind of a moisture-proof container. Shake it up once a day. That's called conditioning. And what that does is ensures that the moisture is gone from the fruit so that you can preserve them long term. If your fruit sticks together, or if it sticks at the top of the jar or the bottom of the jar, then you know you need to put your fruit back in the dehydrator for a little bit. But again, as long as your fruit is leathery, you're going to be good. So 135 degrees, I'm going to have a great snack, and that's how you take care of pears. I'll put a link below to the tools that I used if you're interested in those. Be sure to give me a thumbs up if you felt this was helpful. Follow me. I will be continuing to show you lots of how-tos, as well as offering creative recipes that I do with canned food as well as dehydrated. So until next time, thank you for watching.